guys, so when I look at what we're going to go over today, this is just a little video to help you when you're struggling. I think this could help just having a little tutorial video that some kids can just watch again. They can play or pause it whenever they'd like. So this is part A, look for a pattern. If I kept looking at these problems, these are all multiplication problems. You can see that pattern, right? The first one, it actually writes it out in expanded form for you to see. You do not have to do this. What if it said 2 to the 28th and 2 to the 35th? You wouldn't write that out so many times, 50 more than 50 times. But you should know 2 to the 5th is 2 to the 2nd plus, you're adding the 2 plus the 3. Okay? Here, if you wrote it all out, but 4 to the 1st plus 4 to the 5th is 4 to the 6th. Okay? Remember, you're adding the exponents. Here, 5 to the 3rd, 5 to the 5th. Remember, you're multiplying here, you're going to add the exponents. So it's going to be 5 to the 8th. All right, x using a variable instead of numbers. Again, 8th grade is numbers with these numbers and the exponents, integers, they call it, integer exponents. This is variables with letters. X squared times x to the 6th, all they are called are bases, basically. So you're going to have x to the 8th. You're adding 6 plus 2. Simple addition, okay? Now, hopefully that helped to just get your mind back to where we were. Now we're dividing. Notice that we have a fraction bar. It is division. There is a separate rule. We went over it on Tuesday or Monday and Tuesday. We're going to go over it again today. We have to make sure that these rules are just imprinted in our brain, that we get it so easily that there's no question. When we have this, look how it looks. 4-3 over 4-2. This actually does help. This visual does help. When you're looking at this, look what they're going to do. They're going to cancel out these two, and these two lose, basically. Remember I asked you who wins the battle, the top army or the bottom army? Well, if there's a battle, look what's happening. These two take out these two. What's left? Just 4 to the 1st, okay? Interesting, 4 to the 1st. All right, now, if I have 2 to the 5th on top and 2 squared, or two twos on the bottom, who wins the battle? Obviously, the top is going to win, but take a look even closer. Boom, boom. These two are gone, these two are gone. Okay, interesting. Now I have how many left? 2 to the 3rd, and it's on top. So it stays on top. All right, we're not going to use that crazy rule yet. Now, 6 on top, 3 on the bottom. What are you going to do here? You're going to cancel these out. So you're going to have 3 on the top. X to the 3rd is on top. Okay? And then this one is the weird one. We haven't really talked about this one, but I just want to show it to you. Who's going to win this battle? This is kind of weird because there's 4 on the top and there's 4 on the bottom. Everything they just cancel each other out. It's like a draw. It's like a tie, right? No, the top or the bottom is not going to win. But look what happens. This is the new rule you're going to learn today. When it's 3 to the 0, so you get why it's 0, because not the top doesn't win or the bottom doesn't win. It's a weird rule in your notes. I'll draw this as a bomb, basically blowing up everything. And all that's left is the number 1. It's weird. These both cancel out, but 1 is still left as the answer. It's bizarre. I know, that's the weirdest rule right there. Anything to the 0 power just turns to 1. Okay? All right, now, what about this one? 2 to the 3rd is on top, 2 to the 5th is on the bottom. When you look at this one, ignore this left side. We'll get into this later. I want you to ignore that as you keep going. Let me say ignore this part too. Just look at this answer. 2 to the 3rd is on top here, and 2 to the 5th is on the bottom. 2 to the 3rd is on top, 2 to the 5th is on bottom. So what happens? Who wins the battle? Oops. Let me go back if I can. If you look at this one, who wins the battle? The bottom wins by how much? Over 1 over 2 squared. So these cancel out, these cancel. I wish they did the visual again, because these are all going to cancel out. Who wins the battle? The bottom. There was 5 on the bottom, 3 on the top. They win by 2. Okay? All right, they win by 2. All right, now, this was a new rule, and so is this one today. When you have parentheses, and actually this one's not too difficult, but when you have a parenthesis with an exponent on the outside as well, this is what you're going to do. You're basically telling me that this parenthesis itself can be written out 4 times, okay? This parenthesis can be written out 4 times. And if you look at this problem, you're like, okay, that's like the first rule we learned with multiplication. And it should be 2 to the 8th. All right, but let me just go back. There's also a shortcut you can do. You can just multiply 4 times 2, and we'll talk about this in your notes. When there's a parenthesis guarding this, you are allowed to multiply these two exponents. So then it becomes 2 to the 8th, all right? Same here. You could write this out 2 times, which we will here, and this will become 7 to the 6th, or you can do a shortcut, and you can just multiply these two numbers. Either way will work, okay? You can write the parenthesis out twice because it tells you it's 2 times. You can write the parenthesis out 4 times here because it tells you it's 4 times. This parenthesis says it's going to be out there 3 times, so you could write it out 3 times, okay? No big deal. And then this one, so what's this one going to be? Y to the 9th? Or you could just multiply y 3 times 3 is going to be 9. And then this one's x4, and then the 2. So you go x4 to x4, so that would become x to the 8th. All right? We are going to go over this in our notes, but this is something to help you of what's going on. I could actually jump into a couple practice ones here at the end. So again, the first couple problems shouldn't mess with you, but if you had like x to the 5th over x squared, all right, what's this going to be? You could write it out. You could write it out 5 times if you want, and then 2 times down low, and then you could cancel them out. Boom, boom. Oh, that one stays, and there's 3 on top. You could also just bring it up and subtract it, and you're going to get 3. X to the 3rd, all right? But what happens when it's reversed? Well, if I said x8 on top, x12 on the bottom, who wins the battle? The top or the bottom? The bottom's going to win, all right? How much does the bottom win by? So you see the bottom's going to win, so you know the x is going to stay on the bottom. This is something you got to get in your head. I know it looks confusing, but you got to get there. You can bring this down if you know it's going to win, and that's going to be 4, but you have to put a 1 over it. You can't just leave it empty on the top. The numerator has to have a 1. All right? Anything to the 0 power equals 1. If it's x4 over x4, everything cancels out. You can get x to the 0 power. If you were to subtract 4, bring it up, right? The rule. But that ends up equaling 1. And then the rule we learned today, if I put 5 squared, there's a 4 there. You're allowed to write this out 4 times if you needed to. What if it said 40? I wouldn't want you writing out 4 times. Multiplication is just repeated addition, if you knew that. 4 times 2 is basically just putting 4 2s, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. But we do multiplication to make it easier. So 2 times 4 actually equals 8. So 5 to the 8th. Hopefully this video can stay in your Google Classroom and just help you when you're struggling to kind of just go over some of these rules again, just to remind you.